Welcome to Design Love Podcast. Let's talk design. This is the podcast where I share tips and hacks and information to help you design your life and your home your way. I am Denise Joy. I'm an interior designer, a space curator, 26-year college professor, and I'm the founder of Learning to Live Abroad, where I share my step-by-step journey and process to retire and move abroad, along with information to help women who aspire to achieve their move abroad dreams. On today's episode, we are talking about what to buy now and love forever. This is what you want to spend more on when you are either designing, you've either purchased a new home or new place to live, it could be an apartment, or you are refreshing, you're updating your design, and you want to make sure that you have the kinds of things in your home that you're going to really get maximum value from. Today's episode is part of my series focusing on how to design your home to fit your lifestyle. One of the principles I practice is I encourage women to fill your home with things that you love that really reflect your preferences and your personality. All right, a little bit of housekeeping. If you are new to my channel, please make sure you hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you make sure to keep up with all of my always helpful videos. Also, drop in the chat and let me know what state you are watching from. Join the community, participate, make comments, ask questions. That's really the fun and the maximum value of being here. I'm trying to pull up my chat on my iPad over here. For some reason, it dropped. I had a previous version of this episode scheduled for earlier, but there was a technical glitch. I've been having technical glitches with YouTube lately. I don't know if anyone else has been experiencing this. But nonetheless, I can see the chat here on my phone. So if I'm a little delayed in responding to your questions or comments, that's the reason why. Let's see. Remember, we declared April as Do You Boo. Design your home your way. You know, everything that I suggest on all of my episodes are really about not following trends. Absolutely. If you watch HGTV or Magnolia Home or any of those other kinds of design, shows and episodes and things and channels, those shows are, in my opinion, a lot of that design is geared toward getting you to buy things based on the kinds of commercials that those shows are reflected on those channels and on those shows. And I just really want you to find your own design voice. I'm so committed to that. I also use the principle of custom on a budget design. That's where I encourage you to do the kinds of DIY that you can, right? Either things you already can do, maybe painting is it something you can always do, or pick up the skill, learn something, reuse items, repurpose things. And then when you purchase, you're going to purchase sparingly with a focus on quality and sustainability. So, this is a really good time to examine your relationship or maybe even addiction to consumerism. I stress moving away from overconsumption. Now, yes, we're talking about things you want to buy that you want to spend more on, but remember, we're going to be laying out why you would spend more on these things. And one of the main characteristics is because of quality, durability, and sustainability. So again, stop buying based on trends, change your home, don't keep up with the Joneses, no shade to the Joneses. So there are so many categories of things we need and want when we are furnishing our homes. And there's lots of places that we can shop for things. Online stores, the Overstocks, the Wayfairs, the Paragolds. There's independent black designers. There's the big box stores. There are the warehouse stores. There's estate sales, Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, discount stores, flea markets. What am I trying to say? When you go and you drive through the neighborhood on a Saturday morning, right? You stop at someone's home. Somebody drop in the chat. You know what I'm talking about. Yard sale. There it is. Yard sales, another one. So there are just so many places where we can purchase things from, and I want you to keep that in mind as I'm going to go through these various topic areas of what you should spend more on as it comes to furnishing your home. As I mentioned, I practice the custom on a budget philosophy. I encourage women to do DIY, to repurpose, to reuse. And after designing my own home and, lots of spaces for other people, I realized that there really are some things that we should be spending a little bit more on. And if you're not going to, if you end up finding these types of things like at a Facebook marketplace or thrifting, you need to do some extra things to make sure that you're making sure your things are safe for you to use. When we are shopping for our home, our goals should be functionality, comfort, quality, and durability, which supports longevity and sustainability. Now let's break these down. Functionality is what a thing is used for. Like a sofa is used for sitting, it's used for lounging, it's used for relaxing, and maybe even for sleeping if you have short stay guests and you don't have an extra guest bedroom. When I had my first home that I purchased, I had a 2 bedroom. So I had a son, it was me and my son, and I bought the couch that I used to have. I bought that couch specifically because it would make an awesome alternative place for other guests to sleep. In fact, that sofa was so dope. People fought wanting to sleep on that sofa. It was not a pull-out sofa. It wasn't a sleeper sofa. But the design of it, this is a back in the day. I bought that sofa from Sears. It was amazing. It was an oversized kind of sofa, but not too big. Absolutely phenomenal. So comfort is pretty self-explanatory. Does the item have the right size, the softness, the firmness that you prefer, that you desire? The last thing you want to do when purchasing something, whether you're purchasing it brand new or you're getting it, secondhand or repurposed, is to get something that doesn't have the comfort factor that you really need and know that you deserve and desire. Quality and durability. That's materials that sustain high usability and wear and tear. These factors are so essential no matter what price point you're going to buy at, whether you're going to spend a lot more or a little more, or you're going to do the thrifting and the repurposing route in the Facebook marketplace. Those three factors, those are non-negotiable. You really want to maintain those top of mind when you're going to make purchases. A useful rule of thumb when deciding which furniture pieces are worth investing a little more in is that you want to ask yourself, how much will you use it? How much use will this get? So I'm going to give an example. If you have a home with enough space and you may have like a kind of a family room and maybe you have like a TV den, and both of those rooms may even have televisions in them, but they kind of still have separate uses. Maybe your family room is like right off your kitchen. Your den, like in my home, my den is on a separate floor. It's in a different location. And the den doesn't get as much use as my sort of living room, family room space. So that room, we're always on the sofa and the chairs in that room. The den, because I live, I have guests more so most of the time, but I don't use that sofa as much. It doesn't mean it doesn't have high usability. It doesn't have durability in mind, but I don't use it as much. In this video, I'm getting ready to go over some of the things you can expect to treat as an investment and spend more on. Number one, the bed. Now, we spend 1/3 of our lives in our bed, right? And just the other day, I was saying to myself, man, this is the most comfortable bed I think I've ever had. And it really is. I don't remember the brand off the top of my head, but you want to invest more on a mattress and a bed setup. That includes the frame of the bed. Beds aren't sold as much with a box spring, but if you do get a bed like that, you want to make sure that it's high quality. If you're getting one of those soft foam beds that the foam, supports the body and you kind of sink into it. I forgot the formal name of that, but you want to make sure that you are getting the kind of functionality, the kind of comfort that is going to support you. So I got a firmer mattress when I purchased that mattress because I like not too hard, but firm, but not too soft. So, it's kind of like the story of the three bears. You want to make sure that you're getting something that's just right for you. When it comes to spending on a little bit extra on a bed because you want to have a comfortable night's sleep, or when you're taking a nap, or maybe if you're the type of person who sort of likes to lounge in your bed. You also want to make sure you're going to protect your mattress. You want to invest in high quality like mattress covers and things like that, toppers if you need that type of thing. So I would say you want to spend a little more on investing in it. And I also would caution about getting a mattress sort of secondhand. If you do, there are things that you can do to prepare. Like, let's just say you don't know if that particular bed had bed bugs or something like that. There are things you can do if that's just what you can afford. And for this moment in your life, you want to make sure that you do a search, follow those steps for precaution to make sure, again, that that is going to serve you. The next up is the big ticket item is the sofa. Our sofas can make or break our living spaces. I already gave the example about, hey, thanks so much for joining me live. I appreciate it. I already gave the example of the difference between like having a sofa in like a more frequently used family room, living room area, or maybe like a den, something like that. So you want to spend money a little more because that kind of quality seating, you're going to be using it all the time. You probably sit on your sofa every single day. And if you have more family members or a partner or friends and family, or children who come over, the sofa is getting a lot of wear and tear. You don't want to buy something that is too cheap, right? So sometimes people don't realize that the wood frames of furniture can often be glued together versus screwed and strapped, and there's so many ways to build a sofa. I really encourage you to do a search, and I may even do an episode on this. My last sofa I got from Room and Board. I think I paid $3,000 for it. I once purchased a sofa from Pottery Barn. This was one of my design mistakes. I had measured the room. I had a condo at the time. I had purchased a condo, and the sofa was too large. That sofa was $4,000 and gorgeous, but it was too big. I suffered through it, and honestly, it was also too firm. So my comfort and the functionality. The functionality was there, but it was also too large for the where I could put the sofa. So my functionality was suffering for that particular purchase and my comfort. So, cautionary tale here. You want to make sure you're really clear about the functionality, the size, and the comfort that is going to best serve you. So I would stress to invest a little bit more in a high quality sofa. And I'm going to tag back to the sofa in a bit when I go to upholstery. Okay. The next is art. Honestly, you're going to never regret investing in a piece of art that just speaks to your soul, right? Art also doesn't have to match everything in your room. That's the other thing I want to stress here in this moment. It doesn't matter if you're interested in, say, paintings or sculptures or other forms of artistic expression. Owning artwork can bring a feeling of like joy and fulfillment to you, and because you're also supporting someone who is using a part of their essence to create something that has meaning and that has power. I'm going to point back here, which I do every now and again in these podcast episodes. This is a hand-painted wall that I painted. It's inspired by authentic West African Kuba cloth. And people love this piece. It's really an art installation that I painted on a wall. People love this piece. They loved it so much that I took an image of this wall and had it designed it to fit on garments like carry-on bags, and I sell them. So there's a link that you can click on the site and get one of those. You can use it as a shopping bag, a beach bag, a grocery shopping bag, taking your baby's things in it, and people just love it. They say it speaks to them, and the name of that line is Decipher That. So artwork you can get in many different ways. You can even hang fabric on a wall, but Displaying art in your home is a great way to display your personal taste and your style, and you then are creating a living area that is uniquely yours. If there was a singular constant here on my YouTube channel and on this podcast, is helping you create style that's uniquely yours. Helping you embrace style, your style factor. It's uniquely yours. It reflects your thoughts, your preferences, and your personality. I am so anti-trend, completely anti-trend. Actually, I'm always an advocate also for filling spaces with a one-of-a-kind piece. Hence this accent wall here in my YouTube studio. It's one of a kind. It gets people talking. It makes them feel inspired, they say. I'm an advocate of purchasing at least one piece of art from a local artist. You'll pay more, right? Because again, you won't be getting something from like Home Goods where, 1,000 other people are going to have that same piece of art, but you can mix. Get some original art and get some pieces from your favorite big box stores or what have you. Or, as I do often, paint or create your own art pieces. You can attend local art showings and local art galleries to learn about the artists who live and work in your community. Absolutely, you want to pay a little more for that kind of a unique factor in your home space. Now, next up is the dining table. For those of you who love to entertain, whether it's family gatherings, family meals, sister friends, fellowship opportunities and moments, you're going to have a space where you're going to be sitting around a table, whether that's square table, round table, oblong table, whatever the case may be. Your dining table, if that's you, is going to get a lot of use. I shared in a couple of episodes ago how I had purchased a brand, Uttermost, and that was not an inexpensive dining table, but the quality, it didn't pass the quality measure. Over the 2 years of having it, I thought I was buying 100% wood for the cost I thought I was, because I had purchased an original hardwood table, handmade, and had paid the same price. So anyway, that was me again, another design faux pas for me. And after 2 years, the veneer, which is a glued on wood looking component, starts to chip. I mean, it was a dead zone. I was just so upset. I had invested that money and it just was, it just didn't work out. So the dining table needs to pass that functionality, a comfort, and certainly durability and quality for sustainability. So your dining table, you want to make sure that you invest more, but you want to make sure that you are getting what you need. After that, went for actually, I already still had my 100% hardwood table. I just thought it was too small. Brought it upstairs from my basement, put it in that dining room. It actually was perfect. And so I solved that problem for me. And I was able to repurpose and reuse something that I actually already had. So I'm always reverting back to my custom on a budget principles for design. So comfort, you want to make sure that that dining table is the appropriate height for size for your space, and the height for you. Like sometimes people are taller and they like to have a couple of inches higher, so you want to be looking out, because not all dining tables have the exact same height factor. Make sure that your dining table is made out of strong materials. People sometimes lean on dining tables. They just assume that everything's going to be sturdy, and safe and durable. And if you are apt to maybe spend less, and again, that might be where your budget is at that time, it might be a disaster, or loading lots of heavy foods and platters and things like that. I have actually seen that happen where there's a whole crash situation. So you want to be on the lookout for that type of a make sure that you are getting the quality and the durability. And you can absolutely look for high quality wood. If that's your preference, dining tables, Facebook Marketplace is a great place to look for those things. I have noticed though here lately that the prices on Facebook Marketplace have been getting a little bit out of control. But remember, I actually have a video on how to, safely shop and smartly shop using Facebook Marketplace. So you can always, bid and haggle and make an offer and things like that. I sold things on Facebook Marketplace, had that experience. I do not mind that. And I've purchased things on Facebook Marketplace and, been able to, make an offer, make a pitch, that kind of thing. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining me live for this episode. All right, let's talk about overhead lighting. And I'm really mostly referring to overhead lighting over a dining table or perhaps maybe in an entryway. I would recommend spending a little more on your overhead lighting, particularly over your dining table, because those moments tend to be like a statement moment. Not unless you don't really care about that. If you don't have a chandelier style or a hanging fixture, if you have a wall mounted due to the size of your ceiling height, you might not pay a little bit more, but many people over their dining room table have that kind of chandelier effect or something that's hanging down from the ceiling. And so you can take advantage of that. I caution you from shopping in your big box stores like your home finishing stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. Why? Because they may have a decent price, but again, 1,000 other people are going to have that exact same dining table or light fixture that you're going to hang over a dining table area, and you're going to you lose your unique factor. I can't keep stressing that enough. You're going to lose that component. It's going to feel builder grade in your home. Builder grade means somebody came in and built all 500 homes in a subdivision, and pretty much they got a deal and purchased 4 different versions of the dining room light fixture. So every 4th house has the exact same light fixture, right? Or 1, 2, 3, 4 out of those, everybody's got the same light fixture in those numbers. And so you want to steer away from that. And I recommend that you pick something that again has a kind of a unique factor that's going to set you apart, set your home apart. And again, it could become a statement piece. It could be a rewired antique with updated, like you could spray paint the metals to freshen it up. Like if the piece was maybe silver, you might spray paint it a nice rich matte black and upgrade. In my home that I currently have, there's a ceiling fan that has a phenomenal velocity. It's amazing. But the light bulb portions were really dated. So I went to a big box store, bought a opaque milk glass fixture, and it just instantly updated that ceiling fan and made it fresh and feel a little more current. And I got to keep the velocity of that ceiling fan because it is high powered and just awesome. Again, stay away from generic options. They're generic. You want something that is saying something, that is, again, your design voice, your design personality. But if that's your taste, that you're a little more conservative, let's say, or a little more neutral, then you're definitely going to pick something that's going to fit in that category. All right, let me know so far. We've got a couple of more things to cover, but let me know, what are some things that you realize that you have benefited from spending more on in your home? Or let me know, what are some things you realize I do need to spend a little more on, or go back and do a better hunt to get the higher quality item, because again, you want to buy it now, love it forever, right? Quote, forever, or at least for a very long time. Your sofa, I'll just go back to the sofas real quick, and your bed. Typically, we're going to spend at least, hey, what's up? Thanks so much for joining me live. For your bed, you're probably going to have that bed set, the mattress, it's very high quality, durability. You're going to have that at least 15 years. The sofa, similarly. Now, remember, I'm going to get to something for your sofa in just a minute, but let's look at rugs. High quality rugs can really elevate your space, and a high quality rug can last for years. In fact, if you really go for broke, the highest quality rugs can be investments that you pass down to children and or family members, because their value increases over time. To determine if a rug is high quality, you want to consider the material, the construction, and the design. Most often, you're going to have natural fibers like wood or maybe silk, and they're going to have really dense or tight weaves and intricate patterns. There's going to be a higher knot density and again, you're going to use silk, wool, and oftentimes cotton. That's going to give you that durability and the softness. So when you're walking on something, and high quality rugs will retain their color depth over time. Higher quality rugs are what we call hand knotted rugs, and they're going to have these patterns woven into, built into the design of the rug. They're going to have high density of knots, which means how many knots are in a square inch. And machine made rug can also have the kinds of materials that we're talking about, but the highest quality rug is going to be hand knotted. Machine made rugs can be very good quality, especially if the materials are a dense weave, and you want to look for a high point count on the back of the rug, which means it has a denser pile. There's so many different piles of rugs. There's almost no pile rug, low pile rug, mid pile rug, shag rugs, right, with the long fiber quality. You really, again, you just want to make sure that you're selecting something that has the functionality that you want. The style factor, the comfort, and then the durability. Sideboards. I love a good sideboard. Tell me I am not alone. A sideboard is so multifunctional. Larger furniture pieces like a sideboard. These, though, I'll tell you, I'm a fan. I have one sideboard that's like this, where I took an antique or older piece of furniture. This piece of furniture is from the 1930s. It's a really lovely piece, but then I painted it to update it, and I painted both the inside and the outside of this particular sideboard. It's really kind of funky. Meaning it's dope, right? So sideboards are worth investing in because they can be a focal point, but the functionality. I use both of my sideboards to store items like that I don't use often. I have my bar set up in one of them, along with larger things that I don't want on my kitchen counter because I don't have a huge kitchen. So I use it for storage, but it's also beautiful. I have my cookbooks in my other sideboard, and I have things like my cake stands, things that I would use at the holidays, again, for storage. So sideboards also make a beautiful kind of display area, so you can display cherished decor items. You can find sideboards like Facebook Marketplace. Get a piece maybe that's mid-century modern, or maybe even older, like I said, it's 1930s, and then do some DIY on it to upgrade it. And if you don't want to do the DIY, maybe you'll hire someone. But there's a great way now to repurpose. Sideboards are often treated in that manner. If you want to go the new route, I've purchased a ton of new sideboards when I've worked with clients, but sometimes people don't realize the multi value of a sideboard. Functionality, statement piece, right? And it also has that durability factor, and you can buy it now, love it forever. And if you do the DIY route, hey, you painted this week, in 10 years, 8 to 10 years, you're like, I'm going for a different aesthetic. You can repaint that out, change the hardware on it, and just elevate the piece over and over and over again. All right, our final topic is upholstery. This is where I'm coming back to the sofa. When I mentioned our sofa as an item that you want to spend more on because you want to go for a quality frame, you can reupholster a sofa and any other soft piece of furniture. So things like any of the seating pieces. I actually have a chair in my living room that I am going to get reupholstered here before the summer is out, and I'll be sure to share that with you all. But you're going to invest in durable, high quality upholstery, especially for those frequently used pieces like your sofa and soft chairs that are in your living area. You want to ensure longevity and comfort. The beautiful thing about upholstery is that when you get a piece reupholstered, when you go to a quality upholstery company, they're going to also help to fix or re-strengthen the cushion factor of your seating. If you have strapping in there, they're going to tighten the strapping so that the cushions will hold up as you're sitting on it and lounging on it and laying on it and sleeping on it and all that kind of thing. You want to make sure that you're going to pick the right kind of fabric. So that means you're going to visit the upholstery company and first read some reviews and find out who's good in your area. And then you want to go there and look through the upholstery swatch books. which they're going to have hundreds. And you want to spend some time, if you have to make an appointment, to talk to the professional. Tell them what kind of furnishing piece that you're thinking about. Actually, I referred a client who moved back in this area from Georgia. And at first, she wasn't going to bring these two swivel chairs that I just loved. She was tired of the fabric, and I persuaded her when she was moving and transitioning to bring them with her. And then I referred her to Yee's Upholstery, which is here in the DMV area. She we went together, as a matter of fact, the first time, and went and checked it out so she could meet the owner. Then she set an appointment, went back, sat doing the same thing I'm saying you all can do. Looked through the swatch books, talked about the usability of the items, picked a phenomenal fabric. They came, picked the two chairs up, took them to their shop, reupholstered everything. One of the chairs was arm was a little wobbly, fixed that. Now she has two new chairs, right? Repurposing something she already owned, because the quality of the furnishing, the frame was so high. I was just like, to buy new, you're just going to pay triple. Why not get something, and now you can really custom on a budget, customize those pieces. She loves those chairs, and so glad that I was a little like, no, you're not going to leave those chairs. You're not, because she was going to sell them in Georgia, so she didn't have to ship them. So you want to sit and you want to look through those and just take your time. You might have to go twice. You might have to do 2 visits. They'll even sometimes let you take swatch samples home, so you can bring them home and put them on the sofa and check them out along juxtaposing with other things in your room. You can kind of tell I love upholstery. I do. I like to do some moderate upholstery, like maybe reupholster some dining chairs that have cushions. And I've often reupholstered benches, which is not hard to do, and ottomans and things like that. So yes, I do enjoy that work as well. So that is the top areas that I think you want to spend more on. But here's some areas, as we wrap up, that you can potentially save money. Throw pillows, right? We all love, well, most people I know love some good throw pillows. You can update your throw pillows, and you can do this by also just buying pillow covers, which is one of my favorite hacks, right? To buy different pillow colors so you can change out, and you can keep your insert base. You can save money. You can buy these with less expensive options. Artwork, you can find affordable pieces, like I was saying earlier, at your Home Goods, your TJ Maxx's, and all those types of places. And just pair things together so you also create an original look in your home. Kitchen chairs, dining room chairs, these are typically easier to replace. I have it's a barrel back chair that I got. They're wood. I love them so much. These were not very expensive, but they are durable. They fit the comfort factor for me. They fit the functionality factor. Smaller decorative accents. Don't be afraid to find thrifted items. Some of my favorite decorative items are things like brass pots, brass pots and glass jars and things like that, or vases that I have thrifted. And also maybe even look on Facebook Marketplace. For all these episodes, I always close out with an affirmation. So here's today's affirmation to go with this episode. I am using wisdom and individuality as I spend and invest money on the design elements in my home. I do hope that there was something that was inspiring for you today, that just pushed you or nudged you to say, I'm not going to go the cheaper route all the time, where I'm purchasing a new sofa every 3 years, or making those kinds of design mistakes that I shared with you all that I made. That you are going to look at your functionality, your comfort, your quality and durability, and then you're going to spend a little bit more, whether that's through spending time searching on places like Facebook Marketplace or thrifting, or you're going to go just straight new, but you're going to treat these things as investments. You're going to buy it now. You're going to love it forever. Thank you so much for joining me on Design Love Podcast. Let's talk design, where I share the tips and hacks to help you design your life and your home your way. This episodes always drop on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching the video replay, drop a comment. Let me know what state you're watching from and which of these areas are you going to spend a little bit more on, so you let your personality pop in your home. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.